In 1943, the already very well-known Argentinian composer, musician, Alberto Williams, commissioned his son, very young architect, only recently out of architecture school, to design a second house for them on a beautiful wooded site in the seaside town of Mar del Plata. Williams was trained both as an architect and engineer, Amancio the son, and was fascinated by the spatial possibilities rendered by the importation of construction reinforced concrete into residential architecture, but also fascinated from an early age by flying. So he was eager to take what is inspiring him in architecture in the modern movement that wanted very much an architecture of the time, of today, of modernity, of modern industrial technology, and combine it with his love of flying. In other words, Amancio Williams wanted to make an architecture that floated in the sky, that was released from the forces of gravity, that seemed somehow to levitate, to take daily life up to a new plane.
La Casa sobre el Arroyo was selected as the winner of the 2024 World Monuments Fund Knoll Modernism Prize, not only because they did a very rigorous and detailed conservation intervention at the project and restoration, but also to celebrate the many years of work and efforts by a group of advocates who work with other members of the community as well as with the government to protect the site, restore it, and open it to the public.
To create a house that was liberated from the ground, Amancio Williams came up with the idea that rather than building the house on the marshy, wet banks of this small stream, to actually make it into a bridge that would allow the family to move from one side of the property to the other across the stream, but also, in a sense, float the house in the air above the brook, hence the name of the house to this day, the Casa sobre el Arroyo, the house over the stream.
La Casa sobre el Arroyo was included in the 2012 World Monuments Watch in support to a grassroots group that was advocating for the protection and preservation of the house, essentially to support their efforts, their advocacy efforts towards the preservation of the Casa sobre el Arroyo. Following the watch inclusion in the years after that, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Public Works, and the Municipality of Mar del Plata got together to protect the house and implement a conservation project that ultimately would preserve the house in the way we see it today. The conservation of La Casa sobre el Arroyo is also the first project that we ever selected at the Modernism Prize that is located in South America, in the Global South. And that is also quite important because it's important for all of us to celebrate the work that many architects are doing in the Global South to preserve and protect modern architecture that, as I said before, quite often is under threat.
This has been the work of many historians and preservation specialists over the last generation to recalibrate the history of modern architecture, to understand that it had well springs around the globe, that it was not simply the translation of ideas from one or two artistic centers in Europe to other places that were copies or epigons of an original that was founded elsewhere, but that in fact modernism was a global phenomenon. So we're especially proud this year to give the award to one of the most important buildings in the modernism coming from Latin America, a building that was almost erased from the map and which has now regained its place back on the map in the timeline of innovative modernist architecture globally.